Hi students, welcome to our class on machine learning. So myself Dr. N. Tirupati Rao, working as associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, VIIT Visakhapatnam. So as part of our online lectures in second unit, we had seen in our previous lectures regarding the linear separability and basics about the classification and regression models, various classification techniques and various regression techniques we had seen so far in these our lectures. So today we are going to discuss about the one of the important algorithms in ID3 algorithm. So in our last class I had told you about the decision trees, what are various decision trees, how these decision trees can be useful, and what are various algorithms that will cover under this decision trees also I had discussed in detail. So today we are going to discuss the another important algorithm in decision trees that can be used for the classification is the ID3 algorithm. So let us see what are the contents of this lecture, then we will go to in detail about this algorithm. So this is the syllabus you have. So far we had covered all these things. So linear separability and decision regions, linear distributions we had covered, and important techniques in the regression, that is the linear regression and logistic regression we had covered, and of course we had seen the decision trees. So today we are going to see the another important algorithm in decision trees, that is the ID3. So the content of this lecture includes the ID3 algorithm and its examples, how the ID3 algorithm can be implemented, so what are its advantages, disadvantages, and some of the real-time examples for this ID3 algorithm I had given for better understanding. So the objective of this lecture is that student can understand this ID3 algorithm in detail, and the outcome of this lecture is the student can apply this ID3 algorithm on any type of real-time problems. Whenever he is having a real-time problem to solve, he can apply this ID3 algorithm and he can get good accuracy there by implementing this ID3 algorithm. So let us see what is this decision trees, and then we will go for this ID3 algorithm in detail. See what is this decision trees. So I told you in previous lecture also, basically these decision trees comes under the supervised machine learning models, and here the important thing is data is continuously split according to a certain parameter. So by considering a certain condition or a parameter, we are going to split the data into parts. That is the major thing we are going to implement in these decision trees. We are going to split the data with a condition. So like this, suppose this is the condition, by taking this condition we are going to split the data into two parts. So like this we are going to split the data. The tree can be explained by two entities, namely the nodes, decision nodes and leaves. So here in the decision trees, mainly two things can be noted, that is the decision nodes and leaves. These two factors you have to remember whenever we are dealing with these decision trees. So let us see the leaves. So the leaves are the decisions. So what are the leaves? So here we will consider the leaves as the decisions. So whatever the decisions we need to take or whatever the decisions we are obtaining from the data can be taken here as the leaves. So whatever the content is being represented with respect to leaves are the decisions and are the final outcomes. Whatever the final result we are expecting, that can be represented with the leaves. And the decision nodes are the where the data is being split. So where the data is going to be split can be taken as the decision nodes, and where the final output is going to be displayed, those can be represented in terms of the leaves. So that is the main understanding about these decision trees. So basically this mainly the decision tree is used to split the data with a common parameter, and the data is being represented in the form of decision nodes and leaves. In leaves are represented with the final outcomes or final output whatever you are going to represent, and the branches or the decision nodes can be used to data splitting. Where you are going to split the data is represented with these decision nodes. So obviously the next question is immediately we will get is why these decision trees we need to use. So why we need to use? Basically yes, there might be several reasons for using these decision trees, but the main reason is decision trees often mimic the human level thinking. So how when we are getting a comparison or classification we need to implement, normally how a human being will classify the data, in a similar fashion a decision tree also will classify the data. So just like these decision trees are just like a human being, those are mimic the things to classify a data. That is one of the advantage with which you are getting from these decision trees. The second advantage is decision trees actually make you see the logic for the data to interpret. So, actually the logic which we are going to consider for interpreting the data will give you in these decision trees. That is the major advantage. So, why we need to go for the decision trees? The major important thing is these decision trees are similarly mimicking like a human being. So, that means whenever you are classifying a data, how a human being is going to classify the data in a similar fashion near to that, the decision trees are also classifying the data. So, just these decision trees are mimicking or like just like a human being, are interpreting like a human being. Second one is these decision trees are making the logic such that the interpreting of the data can be made easy. So, this is the two reasons why these decision trees are being considered for the data classification. See the next important topic what we are discussed in this algorithm is ID3 algorithm. Basically, this ID3 algorithm was developed by this J. Ross Quinlan. So, he is the famous scientist. He developed this ID3 algorithm and it was developed by him at the University of Sydney from Australia. So, J. Ross Quinlan, he is the famous scientist. He developed this ID3 algorithm. The first presented ID3 algorithm was in 1975. So, it was firstly presented in year 1975. He presented this ID3 algorithm in a textbook named Machine Learning, Volume 1, Number 1. So, he presented this first ID3 algorithm in 1975 in the book Machine Learning, Volume 1 and Series Number 1. And this is based on the algorithm Concept Learning System algorithm called CLS. So, C stands for concept, L stands for learning, S stands for system algorithm. So, basically this ID3 algorithm has evolved from the another algorithm called the CS algorithm. CS algorithm stands for concept learning system algorithm. So, basically this ID3 is a non-incremental algorithm. So, basically this ID3 can be taken as a non-incremental algorithm. So, what is this non-incremental algorithm means? Meaning it derives its classes from a fixed set of training instances. You try to remember, basically this ID3 is a non-incremental algorithm. So, what is a non-incremental algorithm? It derives its classes from a fixed set of training instances. We already know the supervised learning is basically works on the training data. So, from the training data, whatever the objects or whatever the instances you are taking in that training data can be taken as training instances, and basically this ID3 algorithm derives its classes from a fixed set of instances. That means the number of training instances were already fixed. So, basically there is no change in the training instances once we have started this implementation. So, basically this ID3 is a non-incremental algorithm, which means it always fixes its training instances for fixing the classes or identifying the classes. So, an incremental algorithm revises the current concept definition if necessary with a new sample. That is the meaning of this non-incremental algorithm model. So, basically this ID3 algorithm was developed by this Ross Quinlan in 1975. He published this in Machine Learning textbook, and this algorithm is based from the concept learning system algorithm, and it is basically a non-incremental algorithm where it derives its classes from a fixed set of instances or training instances, where the number of instances in a class are already fixed. In a training set, the number of instances are fixed. So, whenever this ID3 algorithm is being used, it derives its classes from the training set, where the number of instances in the training set is fixed. See, let us see more details about this. A supervised machine learning algorithm used to build classification and regression models in the form of a tree structure. So, in other words, you can see this ID3 algorithm can be used for both classification regression when you are working in the form of a tree structure. So, basically this ID3 algorithm can be used by the machine learning users for classifying the things. Similarly, for regression models in the form of representing the data in a tree structure. So, whenever you need to represent the data in the form of a tree structure, even it is for a classification model or if it is for a regression model, you can use this ID3 algorithm in supervised machine learning models. Similarly, so everyone has this doubt, what is this ID3? So, I stands for iterative dichotomizer 3. So ID3 means iterative dichotomizer 3 and is named such because the algorithm, why it is called iterative dichotomizer? Because algorithm iteratively, so iteratively means repeatedly. So it is going to repeat number of times, repeatedly dichotomizes, that means divides. So it is going to repeatedly divide the things, features into two or more groups at each step. So whenever you are having from one step to next step, at each and every step you are going to divide the things, divide two or more groups iteratively. That means repeatedly it is going to divide the things, two or more classes in a function. So that is the ID3 stands for iterative dichotomizer 3 algorithm. Iterative stands for repeatedly and dichotomizer stands for the dividing the features into two or more groups. So basically it is a classification algorithm. Basically if you consider this ID3 algorithm, it is a classification algorithm that follows a greedy approach. So what is a greedy approach? We will see in the next slides. So for the timing, you see it follows a greedy approach by selecting a best attribute that yields. So basically it follows the greedy approach by which it is going to select the best attribute which is having maximum information gain. So maximum information gain Ig or minimum entropy H. So basically this ID3 algorithm works to identify the best attribute which is having the features more information gain or less entropy values. These two are, I told you, these two are the key factors which were used to calculate in these decision trees. One is information gain and another is the entropy value and third one is the Gini index. So here this method is going to use the greedy approach in which the condition should be we are going to select the best attribute which is having the maximum information gain or minimum entropy value. So let us see all those things in the coming slides. What is this information gain and how this entropy can be calculated and how this greedy approach works. So before going to this, I told you already this ID3 algorithm has evolved from the basic model of algorithm, that is CLS algorithm, that is concept learning system algorithm. See this ID3 is based off the concept learning system algorithm, the basic CLS algorithm over a set of training instances C. You are having a set of training instances C. So we are having a training set of instances C. On this C, how this algorithm is going to work, we will observe now. See step 1, if all instances in C are positive, then create S node at halt. Step 1, if all instances in the C are positive, then create S node and halt. So create a node with S. That is the step 1. If step 2, if all instances in C are negative, create a no node and halt. That means here creating a no node and halt the thing. Otherwise, if both all instances are not positive or all instances are not negative, some instances are positive, some instances are negative, then what will be the situation? See, otherwise select a feature called F. We are selecting a feature called F with values V1, V2, V and so on, Vn, and create a decision node. So we are selecting a feature. If all instances are not positive or all instances are not negative, then we are selecting a feature with values V1, V2 and so on Vn and create a decision node we are creating. Then partition the training instances in C into subsets C1, C2 and Cn. So we told already we are having a training set of instance C. We are now partitioning it into C1, C2, C3 and so on Cn. So that is our third step. Second step C, partition the training instance C into subsets C1, C2, Cn according to the values of V. So whatever the values we have here, based on these values of V, we are going to partition the C instances or training instance C into various numbers, that is C1, C2 and so on Cn. Apply the algorithm recursively to each of the sets Ci. So already we have taken C1, C2, C and Cn. So instead of C, we are taking I, Ci. So apply the algorithm recursively, that means repeatedly. Apply the algorithm repeatedly to each of the sets Ci. So, we are applying the recursively set. Note, this is the algorithm. At first we are setting, at step 1 we are doing, if all instances are positive, create a positive node and halt. Second step, if all instances are negative, create a node no and halt. If at all instances are not positive and not negative, then create a future f with values v1, va2 and create a decision node. After that decision node, partitioning the training set of values C into subsets C1, C2 and so of Ci with respect to values v1, v2 and vn. After that, applying the algorithm recursively such that to unset Ci. That is this CLS algorithm. Concept learning system algorithm works like this. Note, the trainer, whoever is the trainer is there or the expert decides which feature to select. So, here in step 2, step 1 we select a feature f is there. So, here whoever is the expert is there, whoever is the designer is there, he is going to select the value of this feature. It is not done by the machine itself, we are going to select the feature. So, in ID3 algorithm they had done this as automation. So, the machine itself will choose the best attribute or best feature f. We will see in the next slide. So, this is about the CLS algorithm. Now, ID3 from CLS algorithm. So, how the ID3 algorithm has evolved from CLS algorithm? See here, ID3 improves on CLS by adding a feature selection heuristic. So, ID3 is an advanced of CLS algorithm by having an additional feature called the feature selection heuristic. I told you in CLS algorithm the feature selection will be done by the user or the designer or the expert. But here in ID3 algorithm the feature selection heuristic, that means a condition had been already equipped with this ID3 algorithm already. It is in a automatic fashion, not selected by the expert. Second one, ID3 searches through the attributes of the training instances and extracts the attribute that best separates the given examples. So, the ID3 algorithm searches among all the entities, all the attributes of the set where we have entire data. From that it will search the best attribute that can exactly classify the data or separate the given examples. That is the main role of this ID3 algorithm. Then if the attribute perfectly classifies the training set, then ID3 stops. So, basically the role of this ID3 algorithm is simple. First of all, it is going to select the condition, then it will going to search the best attribute from the among all these conditions attributes available. Then with that attribute it will observe whether it is going to classify the entire data into separate or not is observed. If that is there, then ID3 will stop. If that separation is not stopped there, it will go for further separating of the data further and further. Otherwise, it recursively operates on the n, where n equal to number of possible values of an attribute, partition subsets to get their best attribute. So, that is the thing. So, if it reaches the best attribute, it automatically stops. If it all not reaches the best attribute, still the data can be classified furthermore, it will go on classifying the data, separating the data with the attribute available. Like that it is going to identify the best attribute from the among all set of attributes in the group. The algorithm uses a greedy approach search. So, I told you this algorithm, ID3 algorithm mainly uses the greedy approach, that is it picks the best attribute and never looks back to the reconsidering the earlier choices. So, whenever it is going to take the working greedy approach, by using this greedy approach, it picks the best attribute from the available all the attributes in the group, then with that it is going to move ahead. That is the main story about this ID3 algorithm, how it is going to work. See, I told you just now, ID3 is going to select the attributes. How this attribute is going to be selected, that is the main role here. See how it selects. How does ID3 decide which attribute is the best one? So, that is the question. So, ID3, I am again and again I am repeating, it is going to select the best attribute. How this attribute is going to be selected? Now, this is the process, you follow me this. A statistical property called information gain is used here. So, to select the best attribute, the method is going to obtained here or used is the information gain. So, this is one of the important function or method we are going to use to calculate the best attribute information gain. That means gain measures. So what is this gain measures? How well a given attribute separates training examples into targeted classes. So what is this gain? Information gain will do. This gain information measures or calculates how a given or a selected attribute is going to classify the data or separate the data from the targeted classes. So whatever the attribute you are taking, the attributes information gain is calculated or measured. How this attribute is going to separate the data is being calculated. That is the method followed in the information gain model. The one with the highest information. So whatever the attribute we are taking, for that attribute we are going to calculate the information gain. Among all the attributes having the information gain, the one attribute which is having the highest information gain is selected. So I have 4 attributes. For 4 attributes I had calculated the information gain. Now to conclude the which attribute is the best attribute or the final attribute, now I am going to check the value of each attribute and its information gain. At finally I am going to take the only attribute which is having the highest information gain. In order to define gain, we first borrow an idea from the information theory called entropy. So in order to calculate again this information gain, we are using another method called the entropy method. Entropy measures the amount of information in an attribute. So what is an entropy? Entropy measures the amount of information is there in an attribute. That is the entropy. So what is the information gain? So again I am repeating this. So basically ID3 algorithm works on iteratively separating or dichotomizing or dividing the content. In the dividing content process, it is going to select an attribute. Based on that attribute, it is going to take how far it can separate the data in a genuine way. It is going to process, and the process continues or repeatedly it separates the data until the last case it reaches. In the process, it will have n number of attributes from the training set or training instances. Among all these attributes, it has to select only one attribute as the best attribute. So to select that attribute as the best attribute, we need to follow this greedy approach. Okay? In greedy approach, we are going to use the method called information gain, for which we are selecting or finalizing an attribute is the best attribute. So how we are going to calculate this? What is this information gain? This information gain is going to measure how a given attribute is going to separate the data in a class. It is going to calculate. And how once the information is gain is being calculated for all the attributes in the class, then we are going to select or choose the attribute which is having the highest information gain value will be chosen as the final attribute with which you are going to work with the algorithm. And this information gain is mainly depends on the another important factor called the entropy. Entropy means the amount of information that is going to be there with an attribute is called the entropy. So you try to remember these values: information gain, entropy value, with which you are going to finalize the final attribute. See how ID3 algorithm works. See, basically it is a classification algorithm that follows a greedy approach by selecting a best attribute that yields maximum information gain or minimum entropy. So basically ID3 algorithm is a classification algorithm which is going to work with a final attribute which is having the maximum information gain or minimum entropy. Any of the two things, whether it may have the information gain maximum level or the entropy value in the minimum level. How the steps in ID3 algorithm works? You see, the step 1, calculate entropy for data set. That is the final one. First you calculate the entropy values for the data set whatever you are getting. Then for each attribute or feature, so in the data set we are having so many number of attributes are there. For each attribute you do this, calculate entropy for all its categorical values. So first calculate the entropy value for all the attributes in the data set, then calculate information gain for all the features. Okay? Then step 3, find the feature with maximum information gain, and step 4, repeat it until we get the desired tree. So simple thing I told you just now. First we need to identify the data set, then we are going to apply the entropy value on that, on each attributes. So first we are selecting the data set, then we are identifying the attributes in the data set, then we are applying the information gain of the attributes, then entropy on the data set, and we are finding the information gain maximum for which attribute it is there, and for the entropy value minimum is there for which attribute we are going to find, and at last we are going to repeat the thing until we are going to reach the thing. So if you can understand the previous thing, you can understand this algorithm very easily. At first step we are calculating the entropy for the data set. Second thing is, for each attribute feature, calculate the entropy from its categorical values, calculate the information gain for the feature, and find the feature vector which is having the highest information gain, or it may take entropy value with minimum value. Then repeat the steps until it gets the desired tree. So that is nothing this ID3 algorithm, how it is going to work in the simple process, and this will be repeated for each and every step until it reaches to the final level. See the attribute selection. I told you how this attribute is going to be selected. See, with an example, you see, given a collection of S of C outcomes, given a set of S which is having an outcome C. Now the entropy value for this function is, entropy of S can be calculated as S minus P of I into log 2 of P of I. This is the standard formula for calculating the entropy. Now see what are those values. I told you already, S is a collection of set which are having an outcome C. Now where Pi, so here we are seeing the Pi. What is this Pi? Is the proportion of S belonging to class I. So we are having a class I, and at what amount this S is belonging to I can be represented with this Pi, and this log 2i P is represented as log 2 is log base 2, just like a normal mathematical formula. Note that S is not an attribute but the entire sample set. So S is not a single attribute we have to consider, we have to set the total set of instances in a single set that can be represented with S. So friends, by using this entropy of S equal to S minus P of I into log 2 P of I, by using this we can calculate the entropy value of an attribute. Similarly, information gain, how you can calculate the information gain? I told you this, it will give us how much uncertainty in S was reduced after splitting S on attribute A. So information gain can be represented as information gain of A and S. The formula is H of S minus sigma T belongs to capital T P T H T, where H of S stands for entropy of set S. So whatever the entropy here we are getting, this value will be directly replaced with this H of S in this formula. So H of S gives you the entropy value minus what you are calling to T, the subsets created from splitting set S by attribute A. So set S is there, attributes A is there, and from by splitting that subset set S into subsets, whatever the subsets we are getting, those subsets can be represented with this T. So S equal to U, T belongs to capital T, where P of T is the proportion of the number of elements in T to the number of elements in set S. So P of T will give you the number of elements in P to the number of elements in set S will be represented with P of T, and H of T is the entropy of subset of T. So this is the formula that can be used to calculate the attribute selection and for entropy and information gain. Now let us see how this can be calculated for an example. See, we are taking an example. I told you we are taking S as a set of instances where 14 examples are there. Total number of examples in S is 14. From that we are having 9 yes and 5 no examples. So we are having a set S. The content of this S is 14 examples are there. From that 14 examples we have 9 yes and 5 no examples. Then how the entropy can be calculated? So entropy for S and entropy for 5 or no can be calculated as 9 by 14. So yes, how many S are there? We have 9. Total number of instances are 14. 9 by 14 into log 2 into 9 by 14 minus we are going to calculate no's 5 by 14 into log 2 into 5 by 14. That will give you the value of 0.940. So for this set S, what is the entropy value? 0.940. Notice entropy is 0 if all members of S belong to the same class. If all the members belongs to same class, the entropy is going to be 0. That means 0 means entropy is very minimum. the range of entropy is 0 to 1. Normally, I told you entropy should be minimum and information gain should be maximum. So, entropy is between 0 and 1 means when we consider with regular values, it is comparatively low. So, where we are satisfying with our condition for the algorithm, what we have the conditions. See, for the same formula, how we are going to calculate the information gain. So, I told you S is a set and A is the attributes in that set. Set S on attribute A is defined as, so gain of SA, set is represented with variables S and attributes can be represented with A. So, entropy of S, already we had calculated in our previous slide, entropy of S minus S, that means set of values S is multiplied by SV by S with entropy of SV, where S is each value, set of value with each value represented with V there, SV is the subset of S for attributes having value V. SV is the number of elements in SV and S is the modular S is the number of elements in S. So, this is the how we are going to calculate the information gain for the same example. Now, let us see this another example, you can understand more way how entropy and gain can be calculated. Suppose S is a set of 14 examples I told you, where 8 are coming with S and 5 are having with 9, no values. Now, the example is the classification of these 14 examples are 9 yes and 5 no. So, that is the basic condition we have. From this we are having for attribute wind, we are taking the attribute value as wind. Suppose there are 8 occurrences of wind. Suppose from that S and no values we are having taking an attribute as wind and the occurrences for this wind are 8 occurrences of wind equal to week. That means from this wind attribute 8 occurrences are from among these 14, 8 occurrences are weak and 6 occurrences of weak are strong. This is the condition. Okay. Second condition, for wind weak equal to, if the wind is strong, then 6 and 8. Similarly, for wind equal to weak, 6 of the examples are yes and 2 are no. That means for wind equal to strong, 3 are yes and 3 are no. So, you consider this equation here. See, for wind equal to, suppose there are 8 occurrences of wind equal to weak and 6 occurrences of wind equal to strong. And similarly, second case here, for wind equal to weak, if the wind is weak, 6 of the examples are yes and 2 are no. Similarly, for wind equal to strong, 3 are yes and 3 are no. How the information is gained? You consider these values. For if the wind is weak, 6 of the examples are yes, 2 are no. Similarly, for wind equal to strong, 3 are yes and 3 are no. Now, see information gain of S is a set with attribute wind. How we are going to calculate? Entropy of S, we will calculate from the previous slide, whatever the formula we have, minus 8 by 14. How many occurrences are there here? 8 occurrences of 14. So, 8 by 14 is multiplied by entropy of S weak minus 6 by 14. How? 6 occurrences are wind strong kada. So, 6 by 14 is multiplied by entropy of S strong. That will give you the 0.048. Similarly, for this case we have done this. Similarly, for the second case, we are calculate the same value in the next slide. So, how many are there? For wind weak equal to 6 of the examples are yes, 2 are no. For wind equal to strong, 3 are yes and 3 are no. Let us see this. How here? Entropy S weak, 6 by 8 is multiplied log 2 by 6 by 8 minus 2 by 8. So, we are having 6 are true at first, 2 are weak. So, 6 by 8, total number of events 8. So, 6 are strong, 2 are weak. So, for that we are calculating. Similarly, entropy of S strong, for out of 3, 3 are yes and 3 are no. We are calculating, substituting those values, we are calculating the value as 1. I told you already this entropy value always lies in between the 0 and 1. See here 0.811, it is 1. So, for each attribute the gain is calculated and the highest gain is used in the decision node. So, by calculating the entropy Based on the entropy, you are going to calculate the information gain, and for the attribute, among all the attributes, we are going to calculate the information gain, and the attribute which is having the information gain highest value, that attribute can be taken as the final attribute for the algorithm. So, these are some of the characteristics of ID3 algorithm. So, basically ID3 algorithm uses a greedy approach, that is why it does not guarantee an optimal solution. So, when you are using this greedy approach, we cannot guarantee for the optimal solution. It can stuck in local optimums. Whenever the local optimums problems are arising, it may stuck at any point. That is the main problem in this ID3 algorithm. ID3 can overfit to the training data. That is the main problem, another important problem here. And moreover, this algorithm usually produces small trees, but it does not always produce the smallest possible tree every time. So, basically this ID3 algorithm can produce the small trees, but ultimately whenever you are looking as a whole picture, it will not produce the smallest possible tree every time possible. So, it is harder to use on continuous data. That is one more characteristic of this ID3 algorithm we are seeing. So, some of the applications of ID3 algorithm, if you see, several authors or several researchers had used this ID3 algorithm in their different applications whenever they are conducting their research problem. See, Ashwin Kale and Nisha Ati in 2017, they had considered this ID3 algorithm for the automatic menu planning for children as recommended by dietary management system. So, these authors had used the ID3 algorithm such that to develop a model in that automatically the menu for the children will be monitored based on the health condition of the children, and that was suggested by the dietary management system. That was one of the best application used and developed in 2017. Coming to the another one, Garcia and Monroy explained the ID3 can be used in detection of web attacks also can be used. And the other one is they use it for the diabetes classification, and the utilization of insulin for the diabetic patients was classified by these people, Davies Raju and other people in 2019 by using this ID3 algorithm. So, first people they had used the children diet menu planning by as per the suggested by the diet management system by having their physical conditions and health conditions. Secondly, they used the analyze the web attacks. And third one, they used it for the classification of diabetic patients, and the level of insulin to be given to the patients can be automated by using this ID3 algorithm. The other applications are Priyadarshini and other people had analyzed the importance of this ID3 algorithm in the cancer detection in the earlier stages by classifying the data. Similarly, Sendil Kumar in his research work took 3 heart disease problems, and they had compared these heart disease problems and heart attacks predictions by using 3 algorithms, ID3, C4.5 and CART algorithms. He used it there to identify whether the persons or the patients getting the chances of getting the heart attack. They tried to analyze the thing. So, these are some of the applications, real time applications used by several researchers to find solution to the various real time problems by using this ID3 algorithm. So, coming to these textbooks, these are some of the textbooks prescribed in your syllabus. Whenever you have some free time, you please go through these textbooks. Moreover, you go through these reference textbooks also, where you can get this more knowledge and more ideas about this tech. These are some of the references where I had collected this data to present this lecture, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.